to come to an end. And moments before he was going to be fired in a non-confidence vote in our parliament, the little coward ran to the Governor General and asked for her to bail him out by giving him a few months wiggle room by dissolving Parliament. And I just keep thinking, imagine if a U.S. president was about to be impeached and he panicked and he had someone like lock all the doors so the congressman couldn't come in and impeach him. That's the cowardly move that Trudeau had, just to wring out a few extra moments to pack appointments into the courts and other luxury patronage gigs. He appointed 5 senators just a few days ago. Utterly undemocratic, but why should he stop now? It also allowed the Liberal Party to select their leader. I'm not even going to say elect because there was so much monkey business there. I don't know if you saw. The Liberals were so proud of their leadership system that they boasted publicly that they had more than 400,000 people register to vote. That's a pretty impressive number, to be candid. That is only 1% of the Canadian population, but still, think about how many people would be so motivated to choose the successor to Trudeau that they would go out and register to vote with the Liberal Party. So that was quite impressive. Liberal Party of Canada announces nearly 400,000 registered Liberals ahead of the leadership vote. So that's what they said about a month ago. And then really, really weird, when they verified and vetted and qualified these registrations, there was only, I think, 160,000, I forget the exact numbers, about 1/3 that were kosher. So the number that was registered was 400 grand. The number that were verified, certified, approved, 160 grand. Do you know the exact number? Do we have a stat? Like it was around there, maybe 165,000, something like that. And I keep saying to people, it would be like you're voting for mayor. Let's say you lived in a small town and you were voting for mayor and there were 5,000 votes cast, but 3,000 of them were thrown out. And so the person who won the majority of the 2,000, but you just threw out 3,000 votes. Yeah, look at this. So here's the vote summary. So they have a point system which sort of obscures things a bit, but apparently 151,000 votes. What happened to the other? What happened to the other 250,000? Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, it's a glitch. A glitch. By the way, it's sort of incredible that after 9.5 years in the trenches, Chrystia Freeland gets 8% of the vote. Look at that. Mark Carney, nearly 86%, 85.9%. I would be deeply embarrassed if I was Chrystia Freeland. And Frank Baylis, sort of a no-name. The only thing, if you Google Frank Baylis, the only thing he's ever done of accomplishment is he got some inside deal for $250 million to sell like ventilators or whatever to the Canadian government, some sweetheart deal that made him ultra rich. So other than being an ultra rich inside self-dealer, who is Frank Baylis? No one knows. But what's incredible to me is he got not too far away from Chrystia Freeland. Chrystia Freeland was in the news every day for 9 years. She was the twitchy face of this government. And you know what? There's sometimes politicians, especially those who are a little bit afraid of whether or not the people truly love them, they appoint people around them who are weaker. So people say, geez, there's no obvious successor to him. Chrystia Freeland. Just so repellent. And I always felt that way. I thought no one likes her, but the media liked her. Well, when it was put to the test, 8% of Liberals liked her? That's astonishing. Like, there's no one else in that caucus who would do better, by the way. That's sort of incredible to me. You see it sometimes, like, here's a thesis that I heard that I found credible, that the head of the Russian military, I don't know if he still is, I forget his first name, his last name was Shoigu, Sergei Shoigu. I don't think he's the head of the military anymore. I think he was replaced. He was Minister of Defense from 2012 to 2024. So he was replaced last year. Pull him up. Pull up a little bio of Sergei Shoigu. And here's a theory I heard. And just blow up his picture, and you can see that he was not born in Moscow. He was born in Chadan, the Tuvan Autonomous Oblast, to an ethnic Tuvan father. Now, I don't know a lot about what Tuvans are, but they look like Turkic peoples. There's a bit of the Far East there. Can you just, click on the word Tuvan in that biography, T-U-V, and then click on that picture there. Yeah, that one on the right there. Isn't that beautiful? They almost look like descendants of Genghis Khan. They have beautiful ethnic costumes, and they're sort of Asiatic looking. Would you guess, without knowing any more, that they are descendants of Genghis Khan? That would be my guess. And I say this in admiration. I have nothing. This is not some. I'm just observing. What's my point? This theory. I forget who wrote the theory. It was that you have Shoigu as your defense minister because there's no chance that the Russian Federation would accept a Tuvan as president. So you put Shoigu as your head of the military, and you know he's not going to stage a coup because no one would support him against an ethnic Russian, referring to sort of the ethnic prejudices of Russia. What do you think? Do you think that's accurate? I found that somewhat persuasive. My analogy and my reason for telling you this story is that Chrystia Freeland was so unlikable that having her as his right-hand man, and Shoigu would do all the dirty work, of course. Chrystia Freeland would do all the dirty work. She would do all the work for Trudeau. Trudeau didn't do a day's work in his whole life, and he's managed to keep that perfect track record even now that he's a post-prime minister. Chrystia Freeland did all the work. She didn't do the work well, but she did the work. You give her this. She had a work ethic. She was unlikable. She was unappealing. There was a lot of things to knock her, but she worked hard. Trudeau had her as his deputy because no one could imagine her being the leader. In the end, she did stab him in the back, you'll remember. It was her resignation on budget update day that caused the whole crisis. But look what happened to her. That old proverb, when two quarrel, a third grabs the hat. She is one of the most unlikable people in the country. And despite 9 years of trying, she couldn't even get 10% of Liberals to vote for her. So we think. Because what about the 250,000 votes that weren't counted? Were they fraudulent? Were they duplicates? Were they robots? Was it an attempt to hack? Was it from outside the country? Was it, what was it? And how do you know? When you have a regular vote, on paper and pencil, you have physical locations, physical counting, scrutineers with eyes on it. How did you count? How did you select? How did you go through 400,000 so quickly? Was it an algorithm? Was it software that you used? Did you check? What if something was there like a spectrum? If there's three weird things about them, it's knocked out, but if it's two weird things about them, it's kept in? We don't know. And the reason that's important is because this crooked system, crooked because 2/3 of the people, their vote didn't get counted. This crooked system that on its face, even a working system, even if the system worked as planned, foreign nationals could vote, children as young as 14 could vote. Did you know that the Liberals allowed people as young as 14 to vote? You weren't allowed to vote for our next prime minister, but a 14-year-old was. You're a Canadian citizen. Maybe your dad was Canadian, maybe you're 3, 4, 5 generations Canadian citizen. So what? The Liberals allowed people to vote who weren't even Canadian citizens. As long as you were a permanent resident, you could vote. So a 14-year-old permanent resident could vote, but maybe only if they voted for the right person. Apparently, Mark Carney is so beloved that more than 85% of Liberals want him. First ballot. Really? Does anyone even know who he is? Efron, is that you back there or is that Olivia? Olivia. You know, we're going to have to get our buddy David Menzies to go down to Young Dundas Square with a big picture of Mark Carney and just ask Torontonians, who's this? Do you think 1 in 10 know who he is? Do you think it's even that high? He doesn't live in Canada. He left Canada. He has 2 foreign passports, UK passport, Irish passport. He lives in New York, as best we know. That's certainly where his wife lives, and she works for a lobbying company down there. I'm not sure where he lives. I assume he lives with his wife in New York. I understand they also have a place in London, and they also have a place in Ottawa. For all I know, they have a place in Ireland, too. Why would he even have an Irish passport? I mean, he went to work for the Bank of England, so perhaps having a British passport makes sense. But why the Irish passport? The only reason I could think of is Ireland has so many tax loopholes that I bet you Mark Carney found some way to say that Ireland was his residence to cut his taxes. That's the kind of guy Mark Carney is. He's the kind of guy that literally weeks before he announces he's running for the leadership of the Canadian political party, that he votes unanimously along with the board of Brookfield Asset Management to move their headquarters to New York City for tax and tariff reasons. So he's literally making plans to run for Prime Minister of Canada while he's voting to move a large company from Canada to the United States. Of course, that's the kind of guy who's going to say he's an Irish citizen. You know, I just got while I'm sitting here, literally I'm sitting here. I'm going to send it to you, Olivia, if you want to show it. I'm sitting here and I get an email. It's as if they're listening to me. I know they're not. But here's the email. It's from the Liberal Party of Canada to me, apparently. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I'm one of the 400,000 people registered to vote. I should tell you, I've never registered to vote. I haven't. I would not join the Liberals, even as a joke. But apparently someone has signed me up because I'm getting emails. And this one is entitled, "Congratulations, Mark Carney." I think I just sent it to you. Put it up on the screen if you get it. "Yesterday evening, history was made, Ezra." And then here's the line that's interesting to me. "After a secure and robust leadership race, Mark Carney was elected the next leader of the Liberal Party of Canada." Why did you mention that it was secure and robust? No one asked. Why are you leading with that? I think it's, yeah, can you pump that up a little bit there? "After a secure and robust," secure. That's a weird thing to say. Why would you say that? No one mentioned that. You brought it up. It sounds like it's on your mind. Secure and robust. Sounds like you're sort of compensating for things. It's like someone who would go to the border and be stopped at the border crossing and would say, "I don't have any drugs, officer. Have not been smoking. I'm not smuggling drugs, officer." Yeah, no one said you did, but you're sure running hot on that. I think that there's something here that more than meets the eye. I think there's a problem. Who vetted these 400,000 Liberal registrants? What were their rules of thumb? What was their algorithm, so to speak? What was their checklist? Did they have a series of things? And did you need, for example, if there were 5 things they checked, if you met 3 of them but failed 2 of them, were you still allowed? If so, how many people had partially flawed votes? Was there any way to appeal? Is there any report? Is there any audit? Was anyone independent involved? Were there any scrutineers? Do you know what I mean by a scrutineer? I was in the United Kingdom on July 4th when they had their election. I was in the town of Clacton-on-Sea, which is where Nigel Farage ran. And I've never been to a British election before, and wow, was it ever an experience. Every single ballot from the entire district was brought to this one place, this one building. And all of the candidates came to the one building also. In Canada, The candidates have their own events at a bar or a restaurant or campaign headquarters. They're all in their own places. In the UK, sure, they might start off that way, but all of them make their way to this central counting location. And you have all these scrutineers and all these election workers, and all the parties are there with their people. First, it's a two-step process. First, they verify all the votes. Then they count all the votes. And it literally took until 4 a.m. We were all there 4 in the morning. All the media was there in this one place. All the candidates were there in this one place. It was sort of wonderful. I mean, I was so extremely tired, but there was no room for shenanigans. There was no jiggery-pokery there. It was paper ballots, and everyone was in the room together. One room. Now, they didn't have 400,000 ballots, but I'd have to check. Maybe they had 40,000. So what was the system that they used for the Liberal Party vote? The system I just described in the United Kingdom was done hundreds of times in every little district in the UK. All that was at stake was one MP. Now, that's very important to that MP and to that district, but it's not changing the entire course of the country, what happened in Clacton-on-Sea, although the Reform Party UK is growing. My point is, what happened in Canada last night is much more important, democratically, strategically, politically, internationally. We just had a system where 14-year-old children were allowed to vote, where foreign nationals were allowed to vote, but only if you were one of the 1/3 that were verified. The other 2/3 were not. Was it based on where you voted from? I mean, was there some sort of way of detecting if you were voting from a foreign place? So, for example, if a Chinese hacker or an Iranian hacker tried to vote, would they be screened out because of their IP address showing they're from a foreign country? I don't know. Was that one of the rules? Because you can get what's called a VPN and make your internet look like you're anywhere in the world. You could be in China and make it look like you're voting from Toronto. Was there any of that going on? Was it too many votes from the same IP address? So that's a way of saying, did a lot of people vote from the same computer? Okay, but what if you had a family of, let's say, 5 people? Or again, what if you had a way of faking a different IP address? So my point is, we don't know any of these things. I can tell you exactly what happened in Clacton-on-Sea because I saw it with my own eyes. It was mere feet away from me. Every camera was focused on it, and more importantly than the media focused on it, the people with the most at stake were focused on it. The other parties. So Nigel Farage, in the case of Clacton-on-Sea, was the winner, but the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, they were all there too, and they were obviously very motivated to find any shenanigans. Were there any scrutineers in the process that the Liberals had last night? And how could you scrutineer an online system? I mean, just think about, they said they had, what was the number, about 150,000, 160,000? And they're counting those in a matter of hours, I presume? Yeah, the total number, 151,899. Oh, and I love that. 268 abstained. Hey, let's go through riding by riding. I didn't see that. Just scroll down a little bit. Were there any districts? Okay, so it looks like we're in Newfoundland there. Scroll down. Let's go to, what's Chrystia Freeland's own district? Is it university? Is that what they call it? University, I forget. Anyway, scroll to Ontario. I just forgot the name of her. Rosedale, is that what's called? University Rosedale? Yeah. University Rosedale. Can you go to, that is Chrystia Freeland's district. And she's been the MP there since 2015. There it is. So scroll up to the very top. I just want to see which category is which person. So the very first name is Frank Bayliss. So it's Frank Bayliss, then Mark Carney, then Chrystia Freeland, then Karina Gold. So it is in alphabetical order. You see that? So the column on the left is Bayliss, Carney, Freeland. So let's put up University Rosedale again. So show that on the screen and just highlight that line. So remember, the first number is Frank Baylis. He got 32. The next number is Mark Carney, 1,322. The next number is Chrystia Freeland, 188. And then the last number is Karina Gould, 51. Do you mean to say, are you seriously saying that in University Rosedale, Chrystia Freeland's own district, are you saying that Mark Carney walloped her by, like, what's that, sixfold? Like by 6 times as many? Let me do some quick math here. You have 32 for Baylis. Forgive me, I just can't believe this number. 1,322 for Carney. What's that? 188 for Freeland and 51 for Gould. That's a total of 1,593 in University Rosedale. I find that credible. So our hero, am I doing this wrong? Jump in if I'm doing this wrong. Baylis, Carney, Freeland, Gould. So 188 divided by 1,593. Are you saying that Chrystia Freeland only got 11.8% of the vote in her own riding? Only 188 people? I'm sorry, I don't believe it. I mean, I find Chrystia Freeland as unlikable as the rest of you do. I don't believe it. What's the distance? Let's check Karina Gould's. I think she's Karina Gould. She's in the district of, I just forgot. I'm just looking it up here. Burlington, that's right. Can you find the Burlington numbers? And put it on the big screen and we'll look for everybody. So remember how it goes. The first, this is alphabetical. And Olivia, I'm counting on you to stop me if I'm doing it wrong. So 22 for Baylis, 818 for Carney, 47 for Freeland, and, 190, looks like, for Gould in her own district. So again, are you saying that 4 times as many people voted for Mark Carney as voted for Karina Gould, and a politician and a cabinet minister in her own district can only muster 190? In fact, can you scroll through this right now? Is there a single district where Carney didn't come in first? I'm just looking here. Go to Brampton. Let's see if this held in ethnically diverse, very diverse places like Brampton. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's do Brampton. Either one. Let's do Brampton West there. Let's take a look. So Brampton, for those of you who don't know, is sort of west of Toronto, and it's about 80 or 90% new Canadians. A lot of Sikh community there. So in Brampton West, and I'm just picking a district in Brampton. So they have 6 votes for Frank Baylis, I believe it. 228 for Carney. 12, like almost single digits, for Freeland, and just 4 for Gould. So you're saying that in Brampton, that's all the votes there were. Normally the nominations there have thousands of people. Scroll up to the very, very top. I want to make sure I'm looking at the numbers right and that I understand what we're showing here. Scroll up to the very top of the document. Yeah, votes, and then they break down the votes into points, which is basically they turn it into a percentage. What's the lowest place for Carney in the whole country? Scroll down. Let's just look at this together. Look, he's getting high 80s and 90s in Newfoundland. Keep scrolling. And now we're in, Acadie Bathurst. So now we're in New Brunswick, high 80s and 90s. Abitibi, that's I think that's in Quebec. Stop there for a second. Go up just a touch. So Abitibi, Bay James, Nunavik. I think that's in the far north of Quebec. Abitibi, Bay James. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's really in the far north. Hold with me for 1 second. Yeah, that's the huge district that is so large. It's this vast northern place. But you see what I'm seeing there, Olivia? 16 people voted. 16, right? 12 for Carney, 3 for Freeland, and 1 for Gould. You're saying only 16 people in that entire, now it's a very sparse place, but only 16? I don't even know what to make of that. Go to Calgary. Can you type in Calgary? I know we're spending a little bit of time on this. Let's look at Calgary Heritage. That's sort of a very conservative place in Calgary. Yeah, the votes here are very similar. Look at the percentage on the right there. Yeah, he's just getting in the mid 80s here. It's all so uniform. Would you agree with me that it's all extremely uniform? Like, is it really possible that in every single district, how can you have so little variation? I'm just looking at that. Now I'm looking at the column, the third from the right, because pause for a second. So let me explain to you what these columns are. The 4 columns on the left, put it back up for a sec. Yeah, perfect. The 4 columns on the left are the raw vote count, right? So in Avalon, which is a beautiful part of Newfoundland, 8 for Carney, 8 for Baylis, 252 for Carney, 24 for Freeland, 4 for Karina Gould. That's the raw votes. Do you see it says that there, votes? And then the next 4 lines, they've converted that into a percentage. They call that points, which is just what it sounds like. So if you want to quickly see the percentage of any candidate, you don't have to figure it. I foolishly did the calculations there a minute ago I didn't need to do the calculation because they sort of do the calculation for you, right? So scroll down and tell me if this, it's so weird. The statistical likelihood of Mark Carney getting between 85 and 95, put that up and just scroll it. Let's just scroll through it. Like there's put it up on the screen and just scroll. I'm looking at the Carney percentage. 90, 79, 82, 82, 84, 86, 83, 87, 88, 87, 88, 87, 88. Oh, 92, big deviation. 87, 96, 90, 91, 85, 84. Okay, there's a low one, 76. 88, 87, 88, 87, 87, 86, 88, 89. You're telling me this is random? 87, 82, 80. Are you telling me that in every single district, from the west to the east, from the north to the south, that it's all within this tiny bandwidth? 86, 87, 86, 87, 86, 87, 86. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. Are you telling me that there was a grand total of, and no matter what the numbers are, like we showed you how few people voted. Stop for a second there. Look at that line. I'm just picking a line at random. Scroll up a tiny bit. Scarborough North. So few people voting there. Do you see that line? 5 for Baylis, 174 for Carney, 13 for Freeland, and 4 for Gould. And wouldn't you know, so that's such a small number of, if you know anything about Scarborough, that is a political place, especially for the Liberals. What's the total vote there? 179, 189, 194. Like less than 200 people. Are you saying that less than 200 people in Scarborough voted? I know Scarborough a little bit. I don't live there, but I know it a little bit. And wow, what are the odds? Mark Carney gets 88.78% there. Keep scrolling. Scroll down. Let's just take a look. No matter the city, no matter the town, rural, urban, north, south, francophone, like I just can't believe it. I do not believe it. And it's so, what are the odds? I don't think this is statistically possible. This is a 1 in a billion. Like I'm looking at that number of Carney votes as a percentage of points. There's the odd one there, like stop right there, Battleford's Lloydminster Meadow Lake. I know that place. That's sort of central western Saskatchewan. So it does not surprise me that the grand total of voters was 64, 73, 78. You see that? Battleford's Lloydminster Meadow Lake. 5 people voted for Baylis. Who are they? 59 for Carney, 9 for Freeland, and 5 for Karina Gould. So it's a very, and surprise, it works out to the same percentage. Okay, he's at 75.64%, so it's just a sniff lower than normal. Oh, and what's this next place? Scroll down 2 more. And then Destiny, Mississippi, Churchill River. If I recall, going from memory, that's in northern Manitoba. You know what? I'm probably wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. Let me get the name. I don't know that place, and forgive me, Mississippi, Churchill River. Is that Manitoba? It's in Saskatchewan. Would you forgive me for getting that wrong? Shame on me for not knowing that. That is the name for the huge electoral district that is the northern half of Saskatchewan. Very indigenous, very sparse, very rural. 18 votes, and all 18 are for Mark Carney. I think that may be the lowest turnout in this whole thing. I'm just guessing. And I'm sorry again that I thought it was in Manitoba instead of Saskatchewan. But keep scrolling. And again, I'm looking at the third column from the right. That's the percentage, for Mark Carney. And other than a couple of anomalies, it is all between 80 and 90. Calgary Centre, Calgary McKnight, Edmonton Gateway, Calgary Edmonton, Toronto Vancouver. It's all the same. This is, if I'm remembering my statistics terms, the Poisson distribution here. This is impossible. Olivia, this is not real. Those are not real numbers. I do not believe that out of, I think there's 338 districts right now. Let me check. How many electoral districts in Canada? I think there's 338. That's expanding to 343, but I don't think that's what's in here. Either way, let's say 340 districts, whatever it is. We just scrolled through them all. What is the statistical likelihood of every single riding, rural or urban, northern or southern, eastern or western, English or French, New Canadian or Old Stock, that every single one is within this tiny bandwidth on every, and the only places that are a tiny bit off are when the numbers are so small they really couldn't be broken down differently. That is, I call BS. I haven't taken a statistics class since college. I really enjoyed it, by the way. What we witnessed there is, in my lay judgment, statistically impossible. I want to show you something. I'm gonna send you a video. How should I send it to you? By email? I'd like you to play a couple of minutes of the opening of one of the quirkiest movies I've ever seen. It's called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. Who are they? Those are not Jewish names, even though they sound that way. They're Danish names, I think. And they're two minor characters in the play Hamlet. And so it was a fun Hollywood movie where they made the whole movie, who are these two characters in this Shakespeare play? It was a very quirky movie. And it was about 35 years ago. You'll recognize Gary Oldman and Tim Roth, who have gone on to a great success in the theater. Can I play for you this opening scene? And you'll understand fairly quickly why I'm showing it to you. Go ahead and play it. I'll put me in a little box in the bottom corner here. And sound up, if you please. It's a strange start to a movie, but it gets stranger. Take a look. That's Tim Roth, Gary Oldman. It's a coin.
Whoa.
They found a coin. Is it a lucky coin?
Whoa.
What would happen if Mark Carney picked up that coin and tossed it? Would it be heads or tails, do you think?
Heads.
Heads. Okay.
Heads.
Oh, okay.
Heads.
Again. Huh.
Heads.
Really? 4 times in a row.
Heads.
Oh, 5 times.
Heads.
Really? That's quirky.
Heads. Heads. Heads.
Mark Carney, 86%.
Heads.
Mark Carney, 85%.
Heads.
Mark Carney, 87%.
Heads.
Mark Carney, 90%.
Heads.
Mark Carney, 84%.
Heads.
Mark Carney, 85%.
Heads.
Mark Carney, 85.9%.
Heads.
Mark Carney, 86%. Mark Carney, 82%. Mark Carney, every time.
Heads.
Mark Carney.
Heads. Bet. Heads I win. Again. Heads. 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 Whoops.
All right, well, you get the point. What are the odds of a coin toss being heads 100 times in a row? The answer to that is 1 over 2 to the power of 100, which is an incredibly small number. But what are the odds, by the way, of the next one? Let's say you had heads 100 times in a row. What are the odds of the next one going heads? The answer is actually still 50-50. Now, I just said 2 to the 100th power. What if you flip a coin 100 times and you get heads 100 times in a row? The number wouldn't even fit on a calculator. It would be so small. But what if you did 338 districts and every single one Mark Carney won by almost exactly the same margin, plus or minus a couple of points? What are the odds of that? Well, what are the odds of getting heads in a coin toss 100 times in a row? So small I can't even calculate them. I'm going to calculate them to make my point here. 2 to the power of 100. And then inverse that. That's my calculator can't even help that. Can't even work on that. But I think it's 1 over... It doesn't even fit on my calculator. The number is so big, it takes up the whole screen of my calculator. It's impossible. It would be like not finding a needle in the haystack. It would be like finding a needle in the galaxy. 1 over 2 to 100. The odds of getting heads 100 times in a row are a grain of sand on our planet, finding 1 grain of sand. What are the odds of Mark Carney getting 85% plus or minus 5 in 338 districts? Even in Chrystia Freeland's hometown, even in Karina Gould's hometown. Are you telling me that Chrystia Freeland could only muster 188 friends in University Roselawn? Her board alone is 30 people, her personal staff, her family. Are you telling me that there were only 188 people in her riding where she's been working tirelessly for a decade? Are you telling me that? I'm sorry, I don't believe it. Go flip a coin 100 times in a row, and I'll believe that more than I believe this. Or Karina Gould in Burlington. Has Mark Carney ever been to Burlington? Can he find it on a map? Mark Carney lives in Ireland or New York or London. I don't know where he lives. I don't think he's ever been to Burlington in his life. And are you telling me that he crushed Karina Gould in her hometown, where her friends are, where her family is, where her neighbors are, where her staff are? Are you telling me, and with the same percentage, are you telling me Mark Carney's percentage is the same everywhere in the country, including in Chrystia Freeland's district and Karina Gould's district? Oh, and I'm also supposed to believe, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, but by the way, we've disqualified 2/3 of the votes, and by the way, we're not telling you who disqualified them or how, and by the way, we do acknowledge that foreign nationals are allowed to participate and children as young as 14, but trust us, this is a secure and robust process, and you know that because we just sent out an email about that. Not that we're a little worried about you thinking it, but we're just going to lead with that. Hey, everybody, we had an election last night, and it was really secure. Have you ever heard anyone say that in your life? Hey, how did the election go last night? What happened in the election last night? Well, it was really secure, guys. Really? Hey, welcome to Canada. Do you have anything to declare at the border stop? Yeah, officer, I'm definitely not smuggling drugs. Well, we didn't say you did, brother. Hey, last night the Liberal Party had a very secure and robust election. You did you? For Mark Carney, a globalist man no one's ever heard of until 10 minutes ago, who has 3 different passports, who works closely with China, and when he was the chair of Brookfield, had a lot of dealings in China. And do you think China and their cyber force, do you think they have the ability to crack the Liberal Party of Canada's top-notch security? Oh, just maybe. But look at how dumb they did it. Like, not a single riding did Mark Carney do poorly in. I think the lowest he got was 75% in that one district where the numbers were so low. I don't believe it. Cyber warfare by China. Google PLA unit 61398. Can you type that in? PLA, that stands for People's Liberation Army. Unit 61398. That's the name of one of their hacker groups. It's also known as APT1, Comment Crew, Comment Panda, Gift 98A, Byzantine Candor. They got a lot of names. It's based in Shanghai. There's another group called PLA Unit 61486, also called Putter Panda. And they specialize in stealing trade and military secrets from foreign targets. And if you go to their, you can see a picture of their sort of where they operate from. The Chinese government has entire teams of hackers whose purpose is to hack into Western computers, military, governmental, tech. You might recall that Canada's tech champion, which was called Nortel, where did Nortel go? That was the Canadian tech champion. Well, they were hacked by China. Huawei. If you're using a Huawei phone, you're actually using a Nortel phone. They just hacked all the technology and stole it. Do you think that China had the means, the motive, or the opportunity to hack the Liberal Party's election, an online election? I told you how it was in Clacton-on-the-Sea. All the paper ballots were brought into one room. All the political parties were there, and they physically counted these pieces of paper. They went through every one of them once to verify them. Then they went through every one of them a second time to count them. We were there till 4 a.m. It was incredible and excruciatingly slow, but every single human who left there trusted the results. Do you trust the results here? Means, motive, and opportunity. Does China and their PLA hackers, do they have the means to hack into the Liberal Party's robust and secure system? Yeah, they do. I mean, these are the people who can hack into the Pentagon. I think they can hack into Justin Trudeau's website. Do they have the motive to do so? Yes, they do. They want to install Justin Trudeau 2.0, a friend of China. Well, do they have the opportunity to do so? Means, motive, and opportunity. Yes, they do. But look how sloppy they were. I'm surprised. To have a perfect, to have such a perfect result for Mark Carney. That's statistically impossible. Flipping a coin 100 times is more likely than the 338 outcomes I just showed you. Are you telling me Chrystia Freeland only had 188 people? I mean, herself, her husband, her children alone, her personal staff, her driver, her office staff. Are you telling me that she could only get 188 votes in University Rosedale? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that Karina Gould can only muster, what was the number there? Was it, I think 190 in Burlington? Are you saying that a life's work can only get a Karina Gould 190 in her whole hometown? Yeah, you see that? Yeah, look across there. Remember the raw numbers. First is Bayless, second is Carney, third is Freeland. Are you telling me listen, I don't like Karina Gould either, but she won election in Burlington again and again and again. She's a cabinet minister. Are you telling me that her life's work comes down to 190 people, including herself and her husband? Are you telling me that's all she got? Are you telling me I'm supposed to believe that? Go back up to Chrystia Freeland's district. I want to look at that one more time. Chrystia Freeland, I mean, if you follow politics, they say she's the most powerful woman in the government other than Katie Telford, the chief of staff. Sure. I mean, powerful women don't last long in the Trudeau government. Look at that. 32 votes for Frank Bayless, 1,322 for Carney, 188 for Chrystia Freeland, and 51 for Gould. Are you telling me that a life's work, daily press coverage, an entire campaign, and she could only get 188 people? What's the population of University Rosedale? University Rosedale population. 106,000, of which 72,000 are registered voters. That was 10 years ago. It's probably more. Yeah, population now is 106,000. Are you telling me you have 106,000 people? 106,000. You've lived there your whole, not your whole life, your whole political career. You're there 10 years. And you can only get 188 to support you, including your family? And Mark Carney gets almost 10 times as many? Go flip a coin 100 times and get heads every time. That's more likely. Who are the out of the 400,000 registered voters, who were the 2/3 that were rejected? Who rejected them? On what basis? What cybersecurity steps were taken? Why did they lead with saying it's a secure and robust process? Who raised that question? Who was in charge of security? What were the systems that were used? How did they try and detect any hacking? Does Chrystia Freeland actually believe she only got 188 votes in her own riding, including herself and her husband? Does she actually believe that? Because I don't. I don't like Chrystia Freeland. But I am a grown-up enough to know that she has more than 187 friends besides herself. In University Rosedale, after a career in politics, you'd have to be delusional or stupid or gullible to think that after a career in politics, she can't muster more than 188 people. Wow. We'll talk about this more to come, I'll tell you that. That's our show for today. Until next time, on behalf of all of us here at Rebel World Headquarters, to you at home, goodbye. Keep fighting for freedom.